Hi, my name is David Greene. I'm the Senior Trust Officer at First Covenant Trust and Advisors. Today I want to talk for a minute about the estate tax exemption, what it is, where it's been, and what we might expect in the future. There's been a lot of uncertainty about that with the change in politics and leadership in Washington recently. And President Biden has talked during the course of his campaign about returning the estate tax exemption to historical norms. And so there's some question about what does that mean? And I think understanding historically where estate tax exemptions have been can help shed some light on what historical norms might look like. So I think the first thing to understand is what is the estate tax exemption? And the simple answer is that's the amount of wealth or assets that a person can pass to someone else at their death free of federal estate tax. As of today, the federal exemption against estate taxes is $11.7 million per person, which is as high as it's ever been since we've had an estate tax. Back in the 90s, the estate tax exemption was $600,000. So a lot of estate planners were really focused on estate tax minimization. In 2001, George W. Bush signed into law legislation that repealed the estate tax, sort of. And basically what it did was it took the estate tax exemption to $1 million, and then gradually over the course of the next decade, raised it up higher and higher and higher until in 2010, the estate tax was repealed. But for budgetary reasons, that legislation included an automatic sunset, so that in 2011, the estate tax exemption was scheduled to return to 2001 levels, or $1 million. And if you may recall, 2012, or the transition there was sometimes called the fiscal cliff. And as a result of fiscal cliff negotiations in Washington, the result was that the estate tax exemption was pegged at $5 million, which was indexed for inflation. And that's where we were until the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed in 2017, such that in 2018, the new law said, hey, wherever you see $5 million before indexed for inflation, reread that to say $10 million indexed for inflation. But again, for budgetary reasons, this includes an automatic sunset. So in 2026, that doubling of the exemption, which is now $11.7 million, will cut back in half so that it's $5 million indexed for inflation. And most people think that'll fall around $6 million in 2026. So what might President Biden mean when he says historical norms? Because as I've just discussed, at least recent history, the exemption has been all over the board. And the Obama presidency and their budget proposal, every year of Obama's presidency had $3.5 million exemption as part of their proposal. So some of the best guesses think either $3.5 million, because that's what and obviously Biden was part of the Obama administration, what they had proffered. Another possibility is that what Biden means by that is just, let's accelerate that sunset, go back from a $10 million index to a $5 million index, and not wait till 2026. What will actually happen? Obviously, no one knows, but that's part of where we've been with the estate tax exemption and what we might expect in the future.